Hello, folks. My name is Max, your occasional host of The Most. Happy to join you again today for a vid. And with me is Liz Cross, psychic medium and psychic consultant to the rich and powerful. Liz, how are you?
I wish that were the case.
I think I read somewhere that among your clientele we have the Rothschilds, the Bush family, and the Schwabs, of course.
Oh, God. Now you've just caused every conspiracy theorist to hit the unsubscribe button.
It's okay. I think people. It's okay. But how's the Schwab family doing these days?
Well, they're doing very well compared to the rest of the globe.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, I heard the Schwabs were quite invested in FTX, weren't they? At least the World Economic Forum was a partner of theirs. So
Oh, I did not know that. But as of late, Rothschild, the Lord Rothschild, has passed.
yes, I did. I read about that. And but cool that you're so close to them. You told me the other day about your shared loves, your shared love of antiques, and the many holidays you took together in the Mediterranean. So
Yeah.
good for you. All
He
right,
is
folks.
joking. For all of those of you that have had a sense of humor bypass, he is joking.
Yeah, it's all not true. So here's this, for the video editor. Cut this out. So, all right, folks, let's do a little video on China. I'm sure that most of you are aware that protests have broken out in cities across China, which is really very, very rare. The last time this happened on a big scale was 1989. Older people among you will remember the Tiananmen protests. Which were really carried by young people, by students who wanted to see changes in the country. And until very recently, it seemed that Mr. Xi Jinping had a very tight grip on power, which is definitely still the case. But some people are fed up, and the direct reason for that is, of course, the very strict lockdowns. China is enforcing a strict zero COVID policy, and initially that approach was very successful. I think in 2020 and 2021, Chinese officials and maybe some of the normal people were really laughing at how Western countries were blundering, each in their own unique way with regard to COVID. Now it's China that's really in a predicament, because with a variant like Omicron, which spreads around very quickly, it's really very hard to maintain the zero COVID policy. And but they have, and it's hurting the economy. It's hurting people's psychology. Obviously, there's been reports of people killing themselves. Very sad situation. And it's now the young people, again, it's students that are protesting. And some of you who know a little bit more about me know that I lived in China for many years, way back, and I still have many contacts there, both foreigners and Chinese people, in many of the major cities in China, and they report to me directly about what's going on. So there's protests there where several hundred people gather. Sometimes even there's reports of several thousands of people coming together. And it's not huge, especially not in a country of 1.4 billion. But if you know the history, and if you know how people are terrorized into compliance the way they are in that country, it's really something. Even these still minor protests, it's really something very rare. As mentioned, it's been widely reported that this hasn't happened on a scale like this since for decades. So that was a long intro in the finest tradition, you know me. So let's get to Liz. Liz, let's try to. I think what I would like to find out, it can be a very short video, is whether this can lead to bigger change in the country. I'm suddenly, while I'm talking, I'm reminded of crypto viewing. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the work that Dick Daz and the other guys are doing on the crypto viewing website. I can warmly recommend it. It's great stuff. That Hitomi, when she was still alive, one of the remote viewers, the only female remote viewers in the team, I think in late 2020, she predicted that there would be a revolution in China, or at least a change of leadership in the time frame of anywhere between 18 and 24 months. So that would be right about now. And let's see what you say, and what you see. So how shall we do this, Liz? You mentioned maybe about putting me into the future, or
yes, I can put you into the future. I've channeled Hitomi before. I actually, as soon as you started talking about Hitomi, she appeared.
Wow.
So she's here as well. It's whatever you would like to do. We can go ahead and probe the president at the moment to see what he thinks of the protests.
Yeah, no, just probe Mr. Xi Jinping, and I would like to know if he still feels very securely in control, or whether he's getting a bit nervous, or even fearful. What is his state of mind right now?
That's a good question. Do you feel like this is still in control? Yes, he does still feel as if he's in control. He thinks that this is just going to blow over.
Oh yeah, really. What is he planning to do well, there's already some measures that have been taken yesterday, like sending the students to their home cities and villages, and putting a lot more police out in the street. What more does he have in mind? Would he go very far as to repress the protests, like even doing the ultimate, like killing people if he needs to, like they did in '89?
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that what they did on the square? They killed people.
Yeah, according to some people, up to 2,500 students. Yeah.
Would you be willing to kill protesters? No, he's not willing to kill them. No, he can't do that in this day and age. It's too, there's too many phones recording what's going on. No, they can't do that. No, but he will put them under house arrest if he needs to.
Okay, I guess that is good news, at least for the students. And so, he is the man, he is the face of the zero COVID policy. Is he considering, of course, he wouldn't want to give in to people's demands, but is he considering basically abolishing the policy in a few months' time, after all of this has been blown over? Or is he now considering changing the zero COVID policy?
Considering changing the zero COVID policy? No, he's not going to change it, because that's admitting defeat. Are you going to ban or abolish this policy in a few months? Well, that's something that they have to just keep a close eye on. If the COVID becomes, no more than just a cold, then they can certainly, abolish the policy. But it's not anything he can make a decision on right now.
Right. Okay. Is there pressure from within the Communist Party to change the policy? Does he feel increased pressure from opposing internal forces?
Do you feel increased pressure from opposing internal forces? No, they seem to be on board with him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is he sensitive in any way to people's? I mean, he is a dictator, but he also, we established in an earlier vid that he loves his country and wants it to become a big, powerful country. Is he in any way sensitive to people's plight?
quite. No, not at all.
Okay. Well, a true dictator then, I guess. So, all right. I guess for now that covers Xi's current mindset. How about we try to look into the future a little bit? Like, let's say maybe a couple of weeks at first, like
Okay.
Jan 1st, 2023.
Okay. So I'm going to move you, if that's okay.
Yeah. If I'm dead at that point, don't tell me. Yeah, just let's.
That's actually happened before. That actually happened. One time I moved somebody out into the future and they weren't there. And I had to figure out why, but I didn't tell them that.
Yeah, just maybe move me out to Jan 2nd, because Jan 1st I'll probably have a huge hangover. So.
Oh gosh, okay. January 2nd, 2023, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, what would you like to know?
Yeah, can my future self describe the general situation in China with regard to, COVID and the protests?
What's going on with the protests in China?
Has it blown up?
Has it blown up? I feel like it does blow up a little bit, but it's all died down by January 2nd. It's all returned back to normal.
Okay. So it will continue. Okay, so by that time it will have died down. Okay, and how about we have another look a year after, maybe half a year later, like sometime during the summer of July 1st, 2023.
Okay, so July 1st. You could feel me move you, can't you?
2023. I wasn't really paying attention. There was no real physical sensation, I think, but
okay, I felt it.
But I'm sure it happens.
A whoosh of energy.
Okay.
July 1st, 2023, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I feel like you had to travel a bit this year again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In the spring, you have to do some travel. Okay. What would you like to know?
Please tell me I went to Spain for 2 months. I could really use that by now. But,
no.
Okay, it's probably one of those nasty countries again. Yeah. So yeah, what's the general vibe in China? What's the what with regard to zero COVID? Has there been any adjustments? Can people move around again? What's and yeah, are there still any protests?
There have been some major adjustments. The policy has now been abolished.
Okay, interesting. Can we look back? When did that happen in early 2023?
When did they abolish the policy? Around February, March.
Okay. It kind of makes sense, right? Like you don't want to give in to people immediately, but like if you just let it blow over, and then a few months later you actually make some adjustments. It doesn't surprise me at all. It's very smart, actually. And is Xi Jinping still very firmly in power at that point?
Xi Jinping is. Yes.
Okay, and what's the state of the Chinese economy in mid 2023? According to my knowledge, which is significant.
That's true. You do follow China quite closely. What is the state of the economy in China in 2023? It's still in an economic downturn. Is the world still in a? Yeah. See, everybody's still in a bit of an economic downturn. So, things are still we're trying to make recoveries all over the world, but it's difficult.
Okay. Any change by that time with regards to Taiwan, the Taiwan situation?
Oh, is there any change with regards to the Taiwan situation? No.
Okay. How about my general, while we're here, how about my general sense of the world around me? Let's say, I mean, the bigger world, not my family.
General sense of the world around you. It's just stagnant. It's very stagnant at the moment, just economically stagnant. Everything just isn't growing. Are we in? It feels like a bit of a worldwide recession.
Yeah. Okay. So it applies to Europe, applies to North America, Africa, Latin America, Asia, etc. Yeah.
Yes. Has Europe still been hit particularly hard? Yeah, Europe has been hit very hard, which has always been consistent across the probes. That Europe continues to be hit hard, worse than most other continents. But overall, China seems to recover faster than the rest of the world. And then we sort of follow in behind. What about the war in Ukraine? Is that still going on? No, that stopped.
Oh, okay. So, well, we don't want to get go off the rails, but we always do anyway. What's what's the situation there on July 1st, 2023?
What's the situation in Ukraine? There's been a peace deal.
Wow. And who came out on top, if anyone?
Who came out on top? Ukraine.
Wow. Good for them.
So right now, today, you know, these timelines, doing these future probes are interesting because the more I'm doing them, the more I understand that based upon today's information, this is the most probable outcome. Okay. Yeah, sure. Now that can change. And that's new information. That peace deal coming through is new information. But I feel like Russia is exhausted. I feel like both parties are exhausted. I feel somebody just said to me, NATO, you said to me, NATO has gotten involved and said, look, there has to be a peace deal here. So the overarching or the overview of what is to come for right now, based upon today's information, looking out into the future, there's a peace deal.
And according to my July 1st, 2023 self, when did this happen approximately?
That's a good question. When did the peace deal happen? I feel like in the spring.
Okay.
I feel like in the spring. Now, the reason you're saying that Ukraine came out on top is because they didn't become obliterated. Mm-hmm. So they managed to salvage, you know, something.
Of course, the critical question here is, were they able to regain the territory that they lost, those eastern areas, or did Russia, in this timeline, was Russia able to keep those areas and the Crimea?
Did Russia keep those areas? Some of them Russia did keep, and Crimea.
Sorry, yeah.
Crimea. Did they keep? Yes, they keep Crimea. Yes.
Yeah. Say Crimea is that's the Dutch pronunciation, actually. Apologies. All right. Wow, that's I didn't see that one coming.
No, I didn't either.
No, you were pretty consistent, and I mean, I think most people would have agreed that, you know, in theory, Russia being a much bigger country with a huge army would finally, even though most people were rooting for Ukraine, Russia would finally win, and I think that's what you saw. And but right now, it looks the picture looks different, does it?
Well, this is your own personal thought, feelings, and opinions, though.
Right. Okay.
Right. So to you, and you're a historian, you're saying, well, actually, the Ukraine came out on top because they weren't completely obliterated.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well,
that's that's what I got from your personal opinion, because obviously you know how war goes. You know
Mm-hmm.
how the capacity, or certainly the capacity that Russia has,
Mm-hmm.
and Ukraine wasn't obliterated. It
Okay.
wasn't completely wiped off the map.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. And what will people, according to me, how will people regard Russia from that point onwards? Will people feel, they are, I don't know, in their reputation is in tatters, or did they kind of get away from the situation without losing face, to use a Chinese expression? Just to keep the China theme a little bit, we went completely the other direction here, but it's fine.
No, no, they're still seen as like the enemy on the world stage. This is going to take years to repair their reputation.
Yeah. Well, would they want to repair their reputation and their standing in the world, and kind of reconnect with the rest of the world, or are they just gonna sit in a corner and be bitter?
The sanctions are still in place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like Russia now has to prove themselves to get these sanctions removed. And they don't care. They don't care. I don't feel like the Russians really care too much about the sanctions.
Mm-hmm.
The West would like us to believe that they do care, but I don't feel that they do.
Can you point? Can you put me out like maybe just a few years? Let's say maybe 2000. I hope I'm still alive. You never know. 2000. No. Let's not do. Let's say 2025. Mid 2025, so 3 years later, and just see what the situation in both Russia and Ukraine is like. As Ukraine, I'm sure they're going to get a flood of money coming in from abroad and help. And has that country recovered by then, mid 2026?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's go 26. So today's date is the 29th of November, 2022. Let's go November 29th, 2026. You're saying 27 to me, and I'm saying no, we're going 26. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And what would you like to know?
So how's Ukraine doing in general?
It's not doing well. It's doing very poor.
Why?
People have not gone back to the Ukraine. The refugees that fled have made life somewhere else.
Sure.
So you have a huge, workforce population that isn't going back. It's not doing well.
Have they received like a ton of? I propose there will be gazillions flowing in from abroad. Didn't help that a bit in at least rebuilding the infrastructure and the economy somewhat?
They didn't get as much money as they anticipated, and there's no one there to rebuild it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so they're having to get people from the outside to rebuild the country. And the biggest challenge that they have is trying to get people to move back, but they don't want to.
Yeah, interesting. Will it be a NATO country by then?
Ooh, that's a good question. Is it a NATO country? Yes, I do believe it will be a NATO country.
Oh, okay. So how's Russia, and what kind of a state is Russia by mid 2020? Where were we? 2028, or where did you take
2026.
Okay, 2026. In what kind of a state is Russia by that time?
What kind of state is Russia in at that time by 2026? They're in a state of recovery.
Okay.
They certainly don't have the challenges that the Ukraine is facing. They don't have, most of their workforce that has fled.
Do you see them having reestablished economic and trade links with the West and other countries by that time?
That's a good question. And trade links with the West at that time. I feel like it's just beginning.
Okay. And what's the general state of the world's economy in mid-2026?
It's in recovery, so it's doing quite well.
Do you see any around that time any major disruptions like we see now with like logistics, supply chains, food shortages, and all that? Does that go on, or has that been has it lessened somewhat by that time?
Do we still have major supply chain issues at that time? I think the supply chain issues are always going to be a thing of the future.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Certainly for the near-term future. People just don't want to do those jobs anymore.
So you see the main cause basically being a staff shortage, or is there also just a problem with? I'm quite curious to see what the environmental situation is like in mid-2026. Is there basically a shortage of food due to climatological issues, or is it just mainly custom shipping, more like logistical snags and a shortage of labor rather than environmental stuff, for example?
I don't feel it's environmentally related. I feel like it's logistical and labor shortages.
Okay. Will I still be wearing clean clothes around that time, or
I hope so.
can I still feed myself?
Oh, absolutely. And you're still driving, so there you go. Have you swapped over to an electric vehicle? No, you have not swapped over to an electric vehicle yet. But I do feel that the Netherlands, which, by the way, they have a big game today.
Yes.
I do feel that the Netherlands will be swapping over to electric vehicles in the next decade.
Yeah, it's already happening now. And so mid-2026, let's circle back to China, which is, I almost forgot what this video was supposed to be about. So what's the situation there in mid-2026? Is Mr. Xi Dada, Daddy Xi, is he still firmly in power by that time?
Yeah. Is Mr. Xi still in power in 2026? I feel like he's about to step aside.
Wow. And for what reason?
Health. How old is he?
He is, I think, right now either 69 or 70. So, I mean, yeah, he's getting up there in age, but still, way younger than Mr. Trump or Mr. Biden. So he would be around 73 by that time, 74, mid 70s. So health, yeah. Can you see what is it reported? I probably wouldn't know if they don't bring out the news. But can you see can you maybe focus in on him and see what's wrong with him?
I feel like it's heart trouble.
Heart trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
So at that time, he has not stepped down, but there's certainly talk of him stepping down.
Talk of him stepping down. Can you see? Can you move me out to a point where that will actually happen?
Ooh, when does he actually step down? I think he's going to hold on as long as he possibly can.
Okay.
I think it may go into the next decade, but there's certainly talk of him stepping down.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. What do you think, Liz?
Yeah, I really, again, we thought that we were, with the Iranian protests, it's kind of like just trying to check to see what effect these protests will actually have on on the governments and those that be, the powers that be, but it just doesn't look like it's going to have much of an effect.
Yeah.
It's just the only difference is they're not going to kill them this time in China.
Well, I guess that is an improvement, and yeah, I make that comment all the time. It's the age of the dictator with all the IT and tracking systems and all those things they have to their disposal. It's just kind of their time right now, and that's a very sad thing to establish, but it is what it is for now. All right, so this was I'm very curious as to what you will name this video, because there's a bit of China, a bit of Ukraine, Russia, Europe, economy, logistics, shortages, so it's quite comprehensive. But I think it's a nice vid. I'm quite happy about it. How about you?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, as always, for being here. Again, if you want to interact with any of the interviewers, you need to join the Patreon and be on the Discord. How do you do that, Liz? Well, I'll tell you. You go to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. Make sure you hook your Discord profile up to your Patreon subscription. Look, guys, it's only like $3.50 a week, maybe $4 at the most, depending upon the tax. And then you get the open door into Discord. So thank you very much. And I have been putting a lot of World Cup predictions out there. I do believe the Netherlands will win today. I'll go ahead and give you that one. I got 3 for 3 yesterday. England are playing today. So dare I say who's going to win on that one. But my predictions, I'm still beating the bookies. And that's the overall technique that you have to remember. Out of 3 to 4 predictions a day, I may get one wrong, but I'm still ahead of the bookies, which is why I keep getting dumped by all the bookies, and then they come looking for me, because nobody has a hit record like that. The bookie wants you to lose. So yeah, good luck to the Netherlands today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hey, it's a reason. Whoever wins, it's a reason to have a couple of beers, and it's good enough for me. So,
well, thank you.